This is a shocking update. According to NBA insider Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News, he reveals that OG Anunoby threatened to leave the Knicks in free agency if he didn't get the contract extension that he wanted. And as we all know, OG Anunoby ended up signing for one of the richest paid contracts in franchise history. We're going to break down these latest reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. OG Anunoby threatened to leave the Knicks in free agency. Now, I understand the Knicks traded for OG Anunoby, and after making that trade, after giving up significant assets, they could not allow him to leave in free agency and go to another team. They needed to do everything and anything possible to keep him on this team and hopefully keep him on this roster for a very long time. And after they signed him to a contract extension for the next 5 years, it definitely eased my concerns with Anunoby remaining a Knick for the long term. However, according to NBA insider Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News, he actually revealed that potentially the reason Anunoby got that contract is because he threatened to leave the Knicks in free agency if he didn't. Let's go ahead and break down these latest reports about Anunoby and that contract extension that he signed with the Knicks. According to Christian Winfield, the New York Knicks star forward OG Anunoby used his leverage to get his max deal this offseason to stay in the NBA's biggest media market. According to Winfield, Anunoby threatened to leave the Knicks in free agency just months after they acquired him from the Toronto Raptors. Anunoby played his cards right as he knew the Knicks could not replace him had he walked. The Knicks were 26-6 in the 32 games Anunoby played. With no cap space to sign free agents and having sacrificed key players to acquire their star forward, the Knicks eventually caved and Anunoby secured the richest deal in franchise history. 5 years, $212.5 million. Anunoby's deal includes all the bells and whistles, a player option on the final year, and a trade kicker. The Philadelphia 76ers were the Knicks' biggest threat to sign Anunoby, as their top target, Paul George, was eyed by the Golden State Warriors in a spirited effort in the days leading to the start of free agency. It would have been a disaster for the Knicks had they lost both Anunoby and Isaiah Hartenstein, who signed the 3-year deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder, which they could not match due to his early bird rights this offseason. Shout out to Christian Winfield of the New York Daily News, a great NBA insider, for giving us the following information about OG Anunoby and his contract extension with the Knicks. This is really shocking to me. I'm not sure why Anunoby threatened the Knicks in free agency to get the contract that he wanted. It basically tells me that the Knicks and Anunoby were discussing potential deals, but they were not close on the deal. It looks like the Knicks were potentially trying to give him a lot less, but Anunoby was not going to stand for that. And essentially, he said, either give me the contract that I want or I'm going in free agency and potentially I'm going to leave to go to a different team. Maybe that team would be the Philadelphia 76ers. Who knows? But as we all know, Anunoby did not even entertain free agency. He signed with the Knicks before free agency started for a little bit less than the max, but still stayed with this Knicks team and now is going to create one of the best wing defensive duos that we've ever seen in the league with him and Mikal Bridges. But it was very close, maybe this close, from not happening at all. If the Knicks did not give him the contract that he wanted, if they didn't budge and stayed at the number that they felt they were comfortable with, maybe Anunoby doesn't stay a Knick. Maybe he leaves to go to a different team. Maybe that team is the 76ers. And what would they have said about the Knicks at that point in time? I know a lot of people don't like the OG Anunoby contract. They think it's a bit of an overpay. And I would agree with you. It is a little bit of an overpay. But they needed to overpay him to keep him on this team. And if they didn't, as you just heard, he would have left. He would have joined another roster, and the Knicks would have been made a laughingstock in the entire league if they traded significant assets for OG Anunoby and then he ended up leaving the Knicks right after that season to go to a different team, the Knicks would have never recovered from it. They needed to do what they did by giving Anunoby that 5-year contract extension. And yes, it's the highest paid contract in Knicks franchise history. For now, in the next few years, when Jalen Brunson is eligible to sign that Supermax contract with the Knicks, he's going to do that. And at that point, break another franchise record. But right now, Anunoby holds that title. And what a title to hold. One of the highest paid players in one of the biggest NBA media markets on the planet in New York. That is something to say. Anunoby did everything he needed to do to get the contract he has right now. Now, he could have said, you know what, I'll take less. But he didn't want to do that because I think he knew right now was going to be the best opportunity for him to get the biggest contract in his entire career. Maybe in a few years, he doesn't get another contract like this. Maybe he gets a lesser contract, a much lesser contract. Maybe that has to do with his impact, his injury history, so many different things. But it's something worth noting that Anunoby did everything he needed to do in order to get the contract that he wanted with New York. And even though some people may criticize him, some people may not like the fact that he threatened to leave the Knicks in free agency, Anunoby did what he wanted to do to get the contract that he needed. It's not to say that he wanted to leave the Knicks, that he wanted to go to a different team. He just wanted to get the contract that he thought was fair for him and his impact that he showed with that Knicks organization. And I can't blame him. He wanted to get the biggest bag possible for him and his family. And some players, they often do that. Some players don't. We can't praise the players that do and criticize the players that don't. Sometimes it's a little bit in between. At this point for me, even though I don't like the fact that Anunoby threatened the Knicks to get the contract that he wanted, I am still very happy that at this point in time, Anunoby seems happy, the Knicks seem happy, and right now, our current roster is a championship contender because our starting lineup starts with Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. When healthy, that lineup can run through the league. Defensively, they are stifling each and every opposing team. And then on offense, they can do anything they want to do. They can control the paint. They can control the three-point line. They can pass the ball all around and make sure everybody touches it. No matter what game plan you have for the Knicks, they have a way to find themselves out of it because of the roster that they created. And one of the biggest pieces to this roster is OG Anunoby. So whether he threatened to stay with the Knicks or not, for me, he is on the Knicks right now. He is a big piece of this Knicks team right now, and he's going to be a major reason why the Knicks go all the way to the NBA Finals. But what about you guys? What do you think about these shocking reports indicating that OG Anunoby actually threatened to leave the Knicks in free agency if he did not get the contract extension that he wanted? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.